My name is Yomon.
How to learn anything fast. Well, hey, there you go. This video is actually really interesting. Josh here is saying that you can get good at anything in only 20 hours. I encourage you to watch the whole thing, but here are my main takeaways.
So Dr. Erickson was saying something very specific. It takes 10,000 hours to reach the top of ultra-competitive, easily ranked performance fields. Going from knowing absolutely nothing to being really good and knowing that you're good is about 20 hours. And the method, very broadly, has 5 steps, and they're very simple. The first is decide exactly what you want. What do you want to be able to do? What is it going to look like when you're done? The second thing that you do is what I call deconstructing the skill. So you're breaking the skill down into the smallest parts you possibly can and practicing the individual sub-skills. The third part is researching. Researching just enough that you're able to identify the most important sub-skills involved in whatever it is that you want to learn how to do. The fourth part is removing barriers to practice, making it easy to sit down and actually do the thing you want to get better at. And fifth, and very importantly, pre-commit to at least 20 hours of focused, deliberate practice before you begin. 20 hours of deliberate practice is long enough to see really dramatic results, going from knowing absolutely nothing to being very good in a short period of time.
Thanks, Josh. I'm gonna try it. The 3 big things I want to learn and improve right now are motion design, writing, and illustration. So 3 skills, 20 hours each, comes out to 60 hours total. And just to make it harder, I'm gonna give myself 4 weeks to do it, while working a part-time job. Here's a self-assessment gauge that I made up to see where I'm at with these 3 skills on a scale from 0 to 100. 0 being knowing absolutely nothing, 50 being that you can get hired for that skill, and 100 being a world-class top professional. Let's look at motion design. I've played around with stick figure animation a lot back in middle school, so I know some animation principles. And I've learned After Effects for some of the work I do at my job, and a bit for my personal work, but only just the basics. I would give myself a 39. Next, writing. I've always claimed to be a bad writer throughout my life, and it was probably my worst subject when I was in school. But I know if I want to make my YouTube videos engaging, I need better writing so you don't leave. You're not allowed to leave. I've also heard many times that writing is one of the best skills you can develop, because not only does it make you a better communicator, but it also makes you a better thinker. Honestly, I'm kind of scared of this one, but I would give myself a 16 right now. And lastly, illustration. Here's some of the illustration work I do now. This one is more developed than the other 2, but I still have so many weaknesses. But other aspects of my drawing skills, like perspective and figure drawing, could use a lot of work. I would give myself a 62. Let's see Josh's learning method in action. Define. Here's exactly what I want to be able to do. Deconstruct and research. Here are the most important sub-skills required in order to achieve my goals. Action. I added this part in so I could list exactly what I'm gonna do and how. And with that said, let's go! I found pockets of time that I could dedicate 15 hours a week to learning, but now this means I need to wake up earlier. I learned about the technique of copy work, which is a practice where you copy and recreate every detail of someone else's work that you admire. I think this is going to be a reoccurring theme throughout the challenge. For motion design, I followed an After Effects run cycle course on Skillshare and learned how to rig a character. I'm actually pretty proud of this animation, and my prior animation knowledge from middle school came in handy. For writing, I really liked Seth Godin's work, so I started copying his top daily blog entries word for word. I got this idea from Matthew and Sina. I also started a secret Medium account that I'm not telling anyone about because I'm shy, and I'm writing out different ideas and concepts that I believe in. For illustration, I started going through a perspective drawing book called Space Drawing Perspective by Dong-Ho Kim, an artist from Super Ani. I learned about drawing in 1-point perspective, horizon lines, and eye level. This week for motion design, I started part 1 of a Skillshare course by Kurzgesagt, where they taught how they would animate a scene from one of their videos. I learned a ton of tips and best practices about After Effects that got me saying, wow, you could do that? For writing, I continued copying Seth Godin's blogs and posting original articles on Medium. I found out about this thing called morning pages, which is a journaling activity where every morning you dump out all of your fragmented thoughts onto a couple pages in a notebook, and is said to have a ton of benefits for clearing your thoughts and organizing your ideas. I'm going to try this out and see how it goes. For illustration, I'm still going through the perspective drawing book and learning how to draw in 2-point and 3-point perspective and a wide-angle lens perspective. I also did copywork for one of my favorite games that I think has one of the best character designs, Rhythm Heaven. This week for motion design, I completed part 2 of the Kurzgesagt animation Skillshare course, where they teach more advanced techniques. For writing, I continued copying blogs and posting my own articles. I picked up a book called Elements of Style, which is packed full of writing principles and grammar rules. For illustration, I learned how to draw in 4-point and 5-point perspective, also known as fisheye lens. I continued copying Rhythm Heaven characters and even tried drawing my own original characters in that style. For motion design, I watched and followed After Effects tutorials by Ben Marriott on YouTube. His channel is amazing for learning different techniques for After Effects. Here's a sample from one of his tutorials. For writing, I continued copying Seth Godin's blogs, posting on Medium, and doing morning pages every morning. For illustration, I finished the entirety of the Space Drawing Perspective book and learned how to draw various objects in different spaces, like windows and stairs. I also practiced timed figure drawing, and it was garbage. And just like that, the 4 weeks are officially over. Thank you! Thank you! I didn't even do all 20 hours for writing, but thank you! This last week was pretty rough, because I started to feel the burnout kicking in, and didn't get in as many hours as the other weeks. However, going from week to week, it didn't feel like I was doing that much, but looking back at it now, I realize I actually accomplished a lot. So let's see how much I improved. For motion design, I feel like I have a much better grasp of After Effects, learned new techniques, and learned a bunch of practices that I didn't know before. I'd say I'm at a 46 now. For writing, I know I was behind on my hours here, but I feel more comfortable synthesizing ideas and writing them out clearer. I also learned more about what makes a story more engaging and relatable. I definitely see an improvement here, but there is still much to be done. I would give myself a 28. For illustration, perspective drawing was something that I've been putting off, so I'm really glad I worked on it. My figure drawing and fast sketching still feels really weak, and is still something that I need to work on a lot. I'm gonna need more than 20 hours to see a bigger improvement, but for now I would give myself a 67. What's pretty cool is that these scores are pretty representative of what a normal learning curve looks like, where a beginner's rate of learning tends to be much higher than someone more intermediate or expert. These past 4 weeks have been crazy productive for me, and I've finally addressed some weaknesses that I've been ignoring. You can get a lot done in 20 hours, but I wouldn't say it's enough to make you really good at complex skills like the ones I chose to work on. But I can see getting much farther with simpler skills like juggling 3 balls or learning how to whistle. If you play any sports or a competitive video game, just look at your logged hours. 20 hours is nothing. It's subjective, but I would hesitate calling myself really good at CSGO or Rocket League, even after all those hours. But I do agree that 20 hours of scheduled, focused practice for a specific sub-skill can be extremely effective. So based off of Josh Kaufman's video, here's a 20-hour learning framework that I put together that you can use. Define exactly what you want to get better at. Research and find the top single sub-skill that you want to learn. Gather resources and plan. Where will you learn from, and how are you going to practice? Put together a weekly schedule for when you're going to get these 20 hours done, and set a deadline to be finished. Be consistent and don't skip days. Side note, make sure you have enough time to rest. I definitely didn't do that, and I got a bit burnt out at the end. Now it's your turn. Pick a skill that you've been putting off and try this out. And I mean really try it. I know you have something that you've been wanting to learn. If it's complex, just break it down. YouTube and Google is free. Learning piano, a language, how to talk like Donald Duck, it's all there. 20 hours is nothing. Come on, you could do it. Comment on this video right now, I swear to heck, and tell me what you'll be learning. And you better come back to let me know how it went.
My name is Yomon. Bye bye.